Hi everyone. So today I'm here with my oldest daughter Kiara, and we just wanted to talk about George Floyd and everything that's going on in the media and just how the video affected us and our thoughts on, when we watched the video. For me personally, I know when I literally started watching the video, I felt like the life was being taken out of me. Like I couldn't breathe. I mean, for one, as a Black person, first and foremost, as a human being, as a mother, and hearing this man cry out for his mom. I saw someone spray painting it the other day, and I couldn't think of any better way to say it, that it should summon like all mothers everywhere when you heard him crying out for his mom. And then as a nurse, as someone who's is a part of the healthcare field and you're out here to save lives, I literally thought to myself, I wish I was there. And then I also know it's probably a good thing maybe that I wasn't there, because my kids probably wouldn't have a mother anymore, because there's no way I could literally stand there and watch that moment when you see the video hit 3 minutes and 48 seconds. And you knew at that point, those were his last breath that he was taking. I just couldn't stand and watch it. I couldn't physically be there and watch the life being taken out of this man, and to see that there were cops that are supposed to uphold the law and no one did a damn thing. Nothing was done. What was your take when you saw the video?
When I saw the video, it made me angry, because like the way they were just kneeling on his neck like it was okay, and he was saying, I can't breathe, and other people, the bystanders, were telling them to get off of him, and the other cop that was there, like trying to make sure they don't get involved, he was making it seem like it was okay and nothing they were doing was wrong. And he was going back and forth with the bystanders, trying to defend what they were doing, but it wasn't right. So it made me angry, because they were just letting it seem like it was okay, and like what they were doing was nothing wrong, like they were literally killing him, and they was acting like it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much you can say about it. And I mean, I even recently had someone on social media, and they posted, that how it made me feel. I mean, I can't tell you, I was working that day and I literally wanted to just let my manager know, like, I need the day off. It's like I couldn't function for the rest of the day. But they made a post, that it's related to cops, and it was like a cop car, and the sirens was flashing, and they were like, they don't like us. Huh?
She was like,
what?
She was like, put her on the spot.
Oh, okay. Put her out there. Okay, so I'm gonna share some of the back and forth between me and her. But she pretty much, you're right, she posted it, and I'm assuming that I don't know if she's a 911 dispatcher or whatever, but I know she has some affiliation with the police department. And
she's Latina.
And she's Latino. And she's a minority, yes, all of that. But she still didn't get it. She went on to say, but her post initially, to start out, her post was
about the looting and rioting.
About the looting and the rioting. But how I even went to her page in the beginning was because she added on her storyline, cop light flashing, and it was like,
we still come when y'all call.
Yes. Even though it's like they don't like us, but we'll still be there, I guess, when they need us or whatever. We'll come when they call us. And I was just like, what the? Huh? First of all, I saw that. So, I had to go to her page really quickly. I'm like, okay, let me see what this girl been posting about. And, she had justice for George Floyd on her page. And then one of the next things that she had was also where I felt like she's straddling the fence, where it's like, good cops matter, educate. She was against rioting. Humanize the badge. These, by the way, are all distractors. They're all distractors, and they're taking away from the Black Lives Matter. And there's so many examples. People are using so many examples out there. One of them is saying, hey, if I say my house is on fire and you're like, all houses matter, but this is my house that's burning down now. Are we going to go and save all houses when nothing is wrong with them? My thing with humanizing the badge or back the blue or whatever, all those distractors that they're throwing out there, I'm like, do you know how many good cops, as we're putting it, that black people were just driving around and killing before any of this happened?
No.
I think I missed it because I don't remember that. You know, I mean, I'm like, let's talk about it. You know,
it's not even about the good cops. It's about the people who's doing the wrong. There's good cops out there. There's good people, but we're focusing on the bad people. Just because you're good, that's not what the focus is. It's about the people who's not doing the right thing and not doing their job right.
And the all lives that matter. It's like, we know all lives matter.
All lives don't matter until Black lives matter.
That is correct. But I'm saying we know all lives matter. You know, black people are not sitting out here and we're ignorant and we think nobody else in the world matter except for us. But we are talking about the injustice and the prejudice that is happening to black people. You can't address all lives until you address black lives and the injustice that we're experiencing before we can even talk about that. You know, I saw Candace Owens, I believe is her name, really shouldn't even really matter. But, you know, she actually posted this thing talking about people seeing George as a hero and a martyr. And I'm like, what? I think you completely missed the point. Really, I think you have so much self-hatred that you don't really see the injustice. She was kind of like one of those people that says, you're amazing at your job and no one can do this job like you, but you can't come with a but. You can't say, you know, oh, any cops out there that's doing injustice, including Derek Chauvin, that this is what you deserve, but he's being seen as a hero. He's not being seen as a hero. No one is seeing him as a hero. We're not portraying him as a hero. You know, he's not anyone's martyr or whatever we want to call it. It's not any of that. It's the fact that we watched this man put his knee on his neck and took the breath out of his body. And we all watched while that breath left his body. The entire world watched. And I know everybody's like, you know, we're not for the looting. We're not for the rioting. You know, we should do it peacefully.
No.
How many years have there been peaceful protests?
When you do it peacefully, they don't really pay attention to it. But when you start making noise, that's when everybody turn their head and they want to make a change and try to make things better. But the rioting, I'm not going to say it's right, but it was the way to go, because when we were peacefully protesting, they don't really care for it. They don't really look and pay attention to it and try to make a difference. It's just like it's nothing to them. So when you start rioting, looting, and doing all this stuff, that's when people start noticing what's going on and why we're doing it.
And that brought up something interesting to me. So in the 1920s, if you've ever heard of Black Wall Street, or if you're not familiar with it, Tulsa, Rosewood, those were black communities that they were self-sufficient. There were hospitals, banks, grocery stores, everything. I mean, the black dollar was recycled up to 100 times before it actually left the black community. And when a white woman made a false accusation and said a black man raped her or assaulted her in the elevator, white people didn't wait for the justice system to investigate it and to determine the punishment, right? They decided, oh, we're not waiting for that. We about to go some shit up. And they did. And they went down there. I mean, bombs were dropped and they tore that place apart. They burned that shit down to the ground. And I'm like, what's the difference? They rioted, they looted, and they tore our communities apart. So what's the difference now? The way I see it is history is pretty much rewriting itself, except, and I can't, exactly, the roles are reversed. I can't say black people are on top because we're not on top, and in this society we'll never be on top. But this time, instead of them coming in and doing the rioting and doing the looting, we're doing it, and the world has a problem with it. And I don't get it. When the KKK was going around burning churches, burning homes, lynching, hanging, doing whatever they wanted to do, and everybody keeps saying, no, you know, let's not talk about history. Let's forget about that. It's like the world have, I don't know, selective memory. It's like we only remember the things that we want to remember and celebrate the things that we think should be celebrated. You know, oh, let's celebrate, you know, holidays. Let's remember that. Let's remember our forefathers. But let's not talk about slavery. Let's not talk about the injustice that was done to Black people. We're in a whole new era now, but yet injustice is still happening and nobody wants us to speak about it. No one wants us to riot about it. I mean, I just don't get it. I'm heartbroken. I'm horrified. And I'm like, we're still going through this in 2020. I'm thinking about the future of my kids. I have a Black husband. I came from a Black father. I have Black uncles. I have Black brothers. I have Black sons. I have Black daughters. I have Black nephews. And we have to be worried about this in this day and time that we're still dealing with racism. We're still dealing with, you know, aggression on a daily basis. We're still being feared when we're seen just by the color of our skin. We're still experiencing injustice all the time. And people say, oh, this is the time to educate. And this brings me back again to this woman on...
you can't educate people that don't want to be educated.
Exactly. And that's the point I was bringing back. So I actually tried to educate her because she was like, protest peacefully. And I'm like, when in history was there ever a peaceful protest? We were met with dogs, water hose. I mean, when we try to integrate schools, I mean, go back and look at history. I just don't understand it. It's just like we're just being repetitive. So it's like, do you want us to constantly sit here and, you know, protest and stay in silence and hold our fists up all day, you know, and just watch injustice happen to us over and over while you sit there with your white privilege, or the Black people who sit there with self-hatred and say, oh, this is wrong. This is not how we should be doing it. As I ask the question, since you know how it should be done, please educate us. Please educate the Black race, the minorities out here, because we don't know how to do it. And you guys know the correct way, but yet for 400 years, no one did it. And even still now today, no one is still doing it. So when I see people say educate, and I try to educate them, one of the things that she actually said to me was, well, since you don't agree with what I have to say, unfollow me. But I thought you wanted to be educated. And now that I'm educating you, you're telling me to unfollow you. I'm like, unfollowing you is not going to change anything because you didn't learn anything. You didn't listen. And you have to think about, what does it mean to listen, to be attentive, to listen to the words that this person is saying. At my job, they have this thing where it says, be here now. For you to actually tune in to what this person is saying in this moment, and for you to show empathy and compassion and to figure out how you want to make a change. And people are tired of that. They're tired of saying, I want to plead to you. I want to come to you. And when you feel in your white heart that this is right and this is the time that you'll make this change, people are tired of that crap. They're tired. They're broken. I mean, this was it for Black people. I mean, we've been dealing with this injustice for so long, but watching this man pretty much around the world, everyone saw it. Countries everywhere saw this. And watch this man. I mean, it was like 9 minutes that his knee was on this man's neck. 9 minutes.
Going back to the self-hatred, did you hear about what, like, the Dominicans, like, how they're, you know, how they don't claim that they're Black and they're siding with the white people?
Self-hatred.
Yeah. But they're Black, like, it's in the history.
Self-hatred.
It's in their blood. And they're denying it, and they're trying to side with the white people who don't even care about them.
And we don't have to do that. I mean, we don't, of course, we definitely, you know, obviously my platform is micro size, okay? It's very, very micro, but still, I definitely want to express how it made me feel. And I don't get emotional, but last week, and I didn't talk about it that much. You know, I put a couple posts on social media, but it really affected me and it just really bothered me down to the core of my soul. It really did, because we're still being judged. by the color of our skin. And I think we always will.
I want to say, I want to talk about the lady, Emerald Black. She was a black woman, and she was pregnant, and she was, I think, she had a miscarriage because of police brutality and the way they handled her. They threw her on the ground, and they just didn't even acknowledge the fact that she was pregnant, and she was clearly pregnant, like she was far along. And I know they saw her stomach, and they didn't even consider to at least handle her properly because she's carrying a whole nother child. And they just threw her on the ground and acted like it was nothing, and they ended up killing her baby.
And that really shouldn't have mattered, to handle her accordingly because of pregnancy, but the fact that she was a human. We've seen it with pregnant people, we've seen it with kids, we've seen it with the elderly, men, women, and it's just all based on the color of our skin, because it's not just to say black man or, to say, well, he had a criminal record or he did this. It doesn't matter. At one point, your humanity, the job that you decide that you want to be a law enforcement, to do what is right and follow the law. You're not above the law. And that's what it boils down to. So what I want people to take away from this video is you need to find your own racial microaggression. You need to find your own bias. You need to look into yourself and do your own searching and figure out what is going on. We can't keep saying this is the time to educate. And it just brings me back. If I couldn't educate and reach this one person on social media, because you told me to unfollow you. Apparently I don't agree, you don't agree, so just go ahead and unfollow me. And you literally put it in your post, and I'm gonna put it right here. You said to educate is what we need to do, and peacefully protest and do all of this stuff. But when I try to educate you, you didn't want to hear it. So if I can't reach one person on Instagram, how do you expect us to address the entire nation and to change it?
And then you saw what Trina said?
No, what did Trina say?
Like,
I had to shut down social media for a little bit. It was
going back to the educating. There's celebrities with a big platform. They're not even using it properly. Like Trina, she was on the TNT radio on 99 Jam, and she said that they need to stop looting and rioting and acting like animals coming out the zoo. That's what she referred to black people as. And she said because they looted her friend's shop and took all of her stuff. But that's not even important. And the fact that our own people are basically questioning our behavior and calling us animals out the zoo. If we can't stand together, then we're not gonna get far, because they want to see us turn against each other. So if we keep turning against each other, they're not even gonna take us serious. And the fact that she's a celebrity, she has a big platform, and that's what the words that came out her mouth, no, that wasn't acceptable at all. Regardless if her friend, she could have got insurance or something, she would have been fine. The more important problem is the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and people are trying to make noise so people can pay attention to why they're doing what they're doing.
Completely agree. Couldn't have said it any better. And of course, I believe every aspect of it is going to make a difference. The protests, the riots, try to, hit them financially, making sure that we educate ourselves, that we try to support black businesses out there, that we do try to keep our black dollars in our black community and help to build up our black race, because they're not going to do it for us. So for everyone that has an opinion, I keep saying enlighten us. Since you know the best way and the way to do it and what should be done, why haven't it been done all these years? So when you sit there and you criticize and you say, why are people looting? Why are people rioting? Everyone should be protesting. Go back and look at history. I don't have to sit here and give you a history lesson and educate you, because it's already there. Do your research. Go and look at Black Wall Street. Go and look at riots. Everybody wants to quote Dr. King all of a sudden and, what he stand for. But when he was alive, everybody hated him and wanted a bullet in his head, wish he got. And now we want to quote the man when he's dead and gone. I'm like, get out of here. And that's just my take on it. It's just been weighing very heavy on me, and I just wanted to say that. As I said, my little micro platform, If it's gonna get to 2 ears out there, then I need it to be said.
I didn't even know that the White House was built by slaves. He has the nerves to be in the White House built by slaves.
America was built by slaves.
I know, but like I didn't know like specifically. That's just like that don't make sense to me. You're living in a place that was built by our ancestors, and you talk so badly about us and act like we're animals. You wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for our ancestors. That doesn't even make sense to me. And he's so quick to make it seem like we're the bad people, and he lifts up like white people and what they're doing like it's okay. But yet you wouldn't even be living in the White House. You wouldn't even have that platform if it wasn't for our ancestors. That doesn't make sense to me.
I say if it takes burning it down to the ground, then burn it. They destroyed our community before, and people are saying that, you know, it's we're destroying our own communities.
Like the lady said in the video,
Miss Kimberly.
That's her name?
Kimberly. Yeah, you talking about I believe it's Kimberly Jones? Yeah.
She said that it's not even our community really. All our money goes to the government and them, the hired people.
We don't own the property.
We don't own anything.
So it's not ours anyway. So even if you do have a restaurant and you're renting the space from them, it still doesn't belong to us. So if they're gonna burn it to the ground. If it caused protesting peacefully, I think it's gonna take all aspects financially for us to be all united as well, and for us to be out there, as you would say, some shit up. Then that's what it takes. That's what it takes. But this injustice in this country cannot go on like this anymore. And unless you have a solution to the problem, shut up.
Okay, guys. So now we're going to share our own experiences with racism. Mine is a microaggression racism. I said it right?
Yeah, like microaggression of racism.
It was just this boy at my school. He was Caucasian, he was white, and he would call black people the monkey, and he would think it was funny, basically. And we tried to talk to him, and we would tell him, like, that's not okay, like, don't even do that, because you about to get yourself into some problems. But he would just laugh, and he would consistently do it and think it was funny. Even when we tried to educate him about where the word is from and why it's not okay to say it, especially to a black person, especially when you're in a room full of black people, he didn't even consider, he thought it was so funny. So yeah, that was my experience with racism. I had more, but that's the one I can remember at the
behaviors that's learned at home, and that they're teaching to their children, who's going to teach to their children and children's children's. So it's going to be a never-ending cycle. And I mean, definitely for me, I guess it's just really to say, you know, stop the prejudice and the bias against my people because of the color of our skin. Obviously, you guys can see I'm dark. You know, I'm a black woman, and even as a professional, I'm a registered nurse, I experienced that. So, you know, I mean, I've had a, you know, patient where I walk in, I introduce myself, you know, my name is Kamira, I'm going to be the registered nurse taking care of you tonight. You know, you tell them I'm going to finish getting a report and I'll come back and see you. And then you come back in to give your meds and do your assessment. And one particular time, and I mean, this happened on various different levels. I mean, I've come back in the room and it's like, oh, I thought you were the housekeeper, where I have a badge on that clearly said RN. And we all in this day and time know what RN stand for. It is definitely not environmental. Or where it's like, I thought you were the tech in this one instant. So I walked back in with the tech and I was like, oh, I have your medications for you. And then I'm going to listen to your lungs and do a quick assessment, you know, blah, blah, blah. And this, to me, as I always say, looked like a plantation slave owner that I was taking care of. And the thing that he said was, oh, I thought she was the nurse. No, I'm the nurse. And yes, she's white and she's a tech. And even as a nurse, and you know, I experience these things, I still don't go in a room and I still don't prejudge all white people by saying all white people are racist. I mean, we're black and we know that. We don't have that malice in our heart, that intent where we just automatically see a white person and just hate them because of the color of their skin. But that's what we experience every day. And when we get angry about it, you know, all of a sudden we become that angry black man or the angry black woman. And, you know, we have all this because we're prejudged. We have all this prejudice against us and all this bias, you know, and all this malintent just because of the color of our skin. Or, you know, the way we just, you know, look. I mean, God, please don't be a black man that have some muscles and 6 feet, you know, 4. It's definitely like you ready to take out a whole army of white people. That's the way we're perceived. It's just that automatically you see brown, you see black, especially the stronger the melanin is, the more we're feared. And it's sad in this day and time. It's 2020, and we can't just sit out here peacefully, you know, and say it has to change, it has to end. But I say by any means necessary. My ancestors built this country. So I say burn this down to the ground if that's what it takes.
And if you're white or if you're not black, basically, the way you can support the movement, the Black Lives Matter, is by educating yourself, educating the people around you who are also not black, and just...
Oh, and when you see, I don't care who it is, if you in your heart know that you have no malintent, no bias, no racism, you know, to black people, I don't care if it's your dad that you see is showing that little racial microaggressive behavior, check it. Don't let it slide. Check it. And people are like, oh, you're outing people on social media. It's not that you're trying to out people or, you know, call out somebody, but it's obviously, if you claim you're not racist, and if you're black and you claim you don't have self-hatred towards yourself and your own people, it needs to be checked. Period. Check it. Anyone that you've noticed it, those little, you know, things that you experience on a daily basis, check it. And just do your own soul searching, do your own research. You don't have to listen to what we're saying. Go out there. It's in history. It's written. Go to a library. Go to Google. You don't even have to do all that. Go on Google. You can find every and anything.
Because you can't play both sides. You can't...
straddling the fence.
Yeah, you can't be on Instagram trying to support and show quotes and stuff. And then when it actually happens in your face, you're quiet and you just watching. Just...
Right, and I'm going to show you guys this perfect picture that same woman posted, and she says, you know, she wants justice for George Floyd. She also believed, you know, we shouldn't be rioting and looting. And then she had like, you know, pretty much, you know how you do the circle and it's like where they all meet and you do the comparison. And that was her in the middle. She had me. So she wants protect good cops, justice for, it's called straddling the fence. That's what you're doing. You're straddling. You're not taking a side. And what they say about silence, if you're staying silent about something, you literally just took a side.
What's that quote with the oppressor, something like that? It's something about the oppressor.
I know what you're talking about. Oh.
It's something about if you do, I think it's like if you don't say something,
if
then
you don't stand for...
it's like if you don't stand...
If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Mom, that's Malcolm X. I'm talking about the one with the oppressor.
I like Malcolm X.
No, I'm talking about the one I'm talking about. It's like if you don't pick a side, then you're automatically on the side of the oppressor. I think that's how it goes. I'm not sure how exactly quotes, but that's what the quote said.
We'll look up the quote and throw it in here.
Yeah, but that's what this kind of ties hand in hand. So yes, if you're not black, then you need to be sharing the word, educating yourself.
And I am quotes. Saying it. If you ain't for us,
you ain't with us.
You against us.
Oh wow. And people, if you still have that sad Confederate flag on your car, your house, you need to take it down. It's 2020. No, that's not it. That's just not. And you guys know what it stands for.
Do better.
Do better.
Do better.
It's the 21st century. That flag needs to be burned.
And we're definitely saying Black Lives Matter. Not all lives. Black lives.
And it always